Pride to me is more than just a celebration.
It's a historical event. It's remembering the history of where you've been.
I suppose pride to me, after all I've been through, I suppose, in that sense, is a sense of family.
So for me, pride is a few things. Pride is protest, pride is celebration, and pride is history.
It's the entire LGBT community coming together, supporting each other, and letting everyone know that it's okay to be who you are, and just because that someone isn't happy with it doesn't mean that you should be ashamed of yourself.
It is a very lonely experience starting out, trying to find yourself, trying to understand, what you are as a person or who you are as a person. So initially, after all of that, when you do come out and you do find your family, and it can be any, like an extended family, whatever you feel comfortable in, that you have people that you can trust and rely on.
So when I came out, it was in the 90s, and it was illegal to be LGBT plus in Ireland at that time. And I suppose, I remember those days back then when you could be openly persecuted and people, didn't stand up for you, and it was a very fearful time for people.
I came out when I was 13 or 14. I came out as bisexual to my dad over the dinner table. He, being a traditional Irishman, wasn't impressed, told me it was just a phase and that I would grow out of it. He, since then, has gotten over himself and now accepts me for who I am.
For me, I had to go to Australia to come out. I left Ireland in 1999 to go over to my friends and basically find myself, because I spend a lot of my time, as any gay person would, covering up who you are, hiding who you are, to fit into a society that really didn't know you or understand you. And you build up all these kind of walls. So I went over to Australia then basically to find out who I was really as a person. And then when I came back home, it took me a while to kind of get back to normality back home in Ireland. And then when I eventually came out, it was such a relief in that sense, because I didn't have to hide or didn't have to pretend or didn't have to tell people that I wasn't who I was. And it was easier then for me to basically be who I wanted to be a gay person living in Ireland, even though back then it still wasn't okay to be gay to that degree. My first Pride experience was actually skipping school and going up to Dublin.
Me and a group of my friends went up and we just went around for the day. We met some really cool people from Swords, and to this day I still talk to some of them. So it was a really good experience and I really enjoyed myself.
And it was just out of pure nosiness and curiosity, because was I like that, or was I that type of person? Was I gay? I wasn't really sure. So my first actual real experience of gay pride was in Sydney in Australia for their Mardi Gras. It was just a completely different world altogether. It was like something you'd seen in the movies, and you couldn't believe you're actually standing in the middle of it, watching it going past. And Kylie Minogue was the headliner that night, so that was my dream done. I was happy. I could have died there and then, so it was good. But it was an absolutely phenomenal experience.
So when I moved to London in the late 90s, early 2000s, I realised that Pride happened, and I said I'd go and see what it was like, and I was on my own, and I was really, really, really terrified, and I didn't actually participate at all in that Pride because I was really scared of confident gay people, because I wasn't a confident gay person, and expressing yourself in any kind of proud way was an absolutely terrifying idea to me at the time.
So JP, who's our chairperson of Carlow Pride Committee, had this vision one night when he was at home.
And people say that I was on a chaise longue when the idea came to me, and probably in my memoirs that's the way it's going to be wrote.
He decided, sure, why can't we have a Pride in Carlow? So he put up a Facebook post basically saying what would anyone think of having a Carlow Pride, and see what the reaction would be.
I thought to myself, someone has to take the initiative, because in the future, maybe the world won't be so liberal here. Maybe thoughts and ideas might change, adversely affecting me again and people like me. So I thought, I'm here, I have these life experiences from around the world, I need to do something good for Carlow. So I decided to set up a Facebook page, which was the very first step, and I called it Carlow Pride and Parade and Festival or something, I can't remember what it was called. And the next morning I woke up and there were 600 likes.
And he texted us about it and stuff like that, and because he got such a feedback on Facebook about having a Pride Festival in Carlow, we kind of thought, well, this is something we could work at. So we had our first official kind of meeting as call to arms, so to speak. And I mean, it was phenomenal the amount of turnout that we had for people there that were actually interested, invested in actually putting a Pride together.
And someone gave me really great advice and said, get a logo and get it branded, because then people will have a reference point to something that you're doing. So I got a local artist to create a logo, and then I very sneakily organised a meeting to form a committee, but I branded it like, let's reveal the Carlow Pride Festival logo. So when everyone was there, I got all their names and numbers, and then we formed a committee, and the ball has been rolling ever since.
Even for us starting out, we weren't 100% sure how we were actually going to pull it off to the extent of doing it. So we did a lot of research in relation to other Pride festivals and how they were able to get the funding and stuff like that. And then there's the advice from other people in town in relation to business and stuff. They'd said to us to start up a GoFundMe page and see how that goes. And we had set a target for €500 because we obviously, who knows how much a festival costs these days, we hadn't a clue. So, and in the first 2 hours we had €800 on our GoFundMe page. I'm like, I think we set the target a bit low.
So one of the really main things that we decided to do was to have a completely free event, and we took inspiration from Gilbert Baker, who was the creator of the rainbow flag, and he very famously didn't trademark or copyright that flag, so he gave it free for the world to use in protest and pride and parade. And we decided we would replicate that and have a completely free event for people in Carlow.
I was very lucky. I attended the very first ever Carlow Pride Festival in July, and it was incredible. There was such a massive amount of turnout, and what really stood out to me was the fact that families were coming. So parents with their children were coming, and it was a community event, and we all marched down the streets of Carlow, and we all went from Carlow College to the town park, and it was just incredible to hear the support, the cheers, and then when we got to the town park, it was just great to see parents engaging with their kids and showing their kids look, this is normal, this is acceptable, this is perfectly okay, and having them at Pride as well. So I really enjoyed Carlow's first Pride night. I think that it was brilliant to have it as such a community event and to have such a family scope to it. Because that's where the stigma is gonna end.
Carlow Pride was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. From organising the day with the Carlow Pride Committee to attending the day itself. Standing at the other side of the bridge watching thousands of people come over into the park was just absolutely incredible. I can't put the feeling into words.
There's about 1,500 people that identify as LGBT plus in County Carlow. And that's a huge amount of people in any electorate. So, we do have a voice here, and why should I have to go to a major city to be who I am? It's not going to happen anymore because we're here now. And we want to be that outlet, that beacon for the Southeast.
A lot of smaller towns would be much more close-minded and they wouldn't accept people. So to have a Pride in a small rural town is giving validity to the community and to all the people who are part of it.
We all need something to work towards, or someone to look up to, or someone that's been through what someone has been through, so that we can learn lessons, I suppose, in that sense, and know the best way forward. And to have Pride in Carlow is making it visible for everyone else that's coming up in the ranks, that's, they're only figuring out who they are, so that they know that there is hope.
So I think it's really good that Carlow has done a Pride Festival this year, and I'm hoping that their Pride Festival next year is just as good, if not better, than it was last year as well.
But what we're trying to achieve is that Pride for 365 days a year, just give people a little bit more confidence, a little bit more self-acceptance, And I think we achieved that year 1. Year 2 we're going to have to go a little bit bigger. But the main key is whether 5,000 people turn up or 500 people turn up, we just want to give people a space where they can feel comfortable.